Go.
Welcome to Not a Great Whisperer podcast with your host, Katie Ray, me, your favorite. I have my first couple on the show. I love it. I usually interview people separately. I adore these two. I think not even being one of their closest friends, but just being in their presence. They're genuinely awesome people who actually just portray a very, not portray, but are a very happy and kind couple. Also a little bit gangster too. But I just wanted to have them on the show to really just talk about how they met, what they're doing, being parents for the first time. I have Ashley and Matt Lowry. I have to say it like that because of Bad Boys. Mike Lowry, I'm assuming you got that your whole life. But it's just important to say that. So welcome, guys.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Oh my gosh, so much fun.
That was such a nice introduction.
Intro?
Yeah, it was a really good intro.
Especially the gangsters.
Yeah, you're welcome. Well, I just picture Matt's afro. I think he was in high school or college. Both?
When I was in college,
yeah.
I grew the hair out and then
With the goatee.
With the goatee, and then threw in some corners.
Yeah.
For a little while
And you were
too.
dating at that time?
No.
Well, in college.
No. Actually,
Toward the end of
towards the
college,
end,
yeah.
So we started dating when I was 21.
Mm-hmm.
Like right when I turned 21.
Yeah.
We were friends through high school. Met in high school my freshman year, her sophomore year.
Did yours always have a crush on her?
Yeah. The situation was, so I remember the first time I ever saw her, and that was my freshman year in between classes. We kind of loosely hung around the same groups, and I was talking in between classes one day with a group of friends. She walked up. I remember she was wearing a black shirt. I don't remember what the conversation
so sweet.
entailed,
I know.
but yeah,
You're like, I hated that black shirt. That's crazy.
But yeah, that was the first time we met, and then later on that year, we started taking an art class together. Her and one of her friends. I actually dated one of her friends' best friend in high school for a little bit. And then, but she was dating guys that were like 6'2", 6'3". She couldn't see, she couldn't see me. I was too short.
Oh,
So no, we remained great friends through high school. One of those kind of friendships where we didn't hang around a lot. We kind of were in different groups. But whenever we saw each other at parties, we were kind of off in the corner, hanging out with one another while everyone else was having a good time. We would be talking.
Oh, I love that.
Cracking jokes. And so yeah, that's how we met was in high school.
Did you have a crush on him?
I always thought he was cute, but he was like one of those guys in school where like all my friends had a crush on him.
Yeah.
My sister had a crush on him.
Very
Oh
kind
my
of you to
gosh,
say that. That's
stop.
very nice of you. Thank you.
You guys are hilarious.
No, but
Sweet.
other people like
No.
him.
It's because everybody else liked him. No. I was dating these
No,
6'2"
he was
guys.
just like my friend Matt. Like that's how I always looked at him. He was just like we always like hit the ground running when we saw each other and could pick up where we left off, and
I
we were
love
just
that.
Good friends.
That's why you put in one of your Instagram thing, out of the friend zone.
Yeah.
Fresh.
Giving
I
hope.
was hard in the friend zone for a lot of years there.
But I always kept in touch with you.
She
Oh,
was
I
the
love
one
that.
that kept in touch. She's the one that kind of kept the friendship going. I'd get phone calls. I remember one time when I was probably like 19, 20, you called me from California. You were in California randomly. And that was one of those calls where I was like, well, you don't like me, but you're randomly calling me.
So you're thinking about me.
What's
Okay.
really going on?
Yeah.
But that was an awesome phone call. That was I remember I was getting ready to go out with some of my friends that night, and you randomly called me. You said you were on the Santa Monica Boulevard.
Yeah, because I sang it to you.
You sang that
like the
shit.
Sheryl Crow song.
She was on the Santa Monica.
Oh my First of all, this is amazing. This story is way better than I expected. Because she's like, I just say it to him. The Sheryl Crow song. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's just a normal conversation.
Guess where I'm at? And then she started singing the song. And I remember when I hung up the phone, though, I was like, that was just really special because she called out of nowhere. And I hadn't heard from her in a long time. And it was every time my conversations I had with her, they were always positive and happy. And I remember that night I was like, man, I really wish I was hanging out with her
Aw.
rather than going to hang out with my friends.
I love his honesty too.
I know.
Like I love that you can be completely transparent and not put on like, yeah, she reached out to me.
Yeah.
And I was like, whatever, it's cool. And you're like truthfully like, no, it was awesome. I wanted to hang out with her. I love that. That's
But after
probably
that, I was like, no, whatever. I'm just kidding. No, like,
no, I gotta go.
yeah. So we probably didn't start dating until she was always in really long relationships, like 4-year relationships.
Whatever, Ashley.
Yeah, seriously. With, like I said, with guys that were like 6'3", 6'4", tall, skinny, complete opposite of what I was. And one of those relationships ended, and then I kind of slid in there. I was like, hey, what's up? You know?
Slide into the DMs.
Yeah,
Not
slide-
back then, though. It was
yeah,
how long
yes.
ago? That was
slide,
like
slide in on the AOL Instant Messenger. And,
you have mail.
Yeah, we started dating when I was 21.
Yeah.
Immediately,
Which
like,
has been 15 years.
yeah, close to.
Isn't that crazy?
Close to.
Wow.
I
They're
know.
25, so.
Yeah, I meant 10 years.
We
Yeah.
started dating when we were 5
Wow.
years
You
old.
Yeah.
dated for how long until you got married?
10 years.
10 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So
we kind of took our time doing
we
everything.
we weren't in a rush.
Love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we weren't in a rush. We kind of had a plan in mind. We didn't want to kind of waste all of our, I wouldn't say waste, but put all our resources towards a wedding that at the time we probably
Yep.
couldn't have afforded and put ourselves in a hole. So I think like probably after a few months, we both knew that
Love that.
we had something
Well, when you were dating?
special.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, because you've
Yeah.
grown a friendship for so long.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
you sang Santa Monica Boulevard. So.
I'm not putting that up
Shout out to
special.
Sheryl Crow.
Yeah.
But I think that's an amazing story. And it shows other relationships. I feel like people are just rushing to that marriage or and you guys traveled together, right?
Mhm.
You did some
Yeah, we
traveling
love
beforehand,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
before the baby too, just to but you'll probably bring her on all your
We
adventures.
can't wait.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh,
Yeah,
yeah.
we can't
You
wait.
get her passport now.
Yeah, we're not quite ready. Like we found this really good deal to Paris, these super cheap flights to Paris, and we're like, should we do it? It's just
You have one more year for free flights for her.
really.
Oh.
I
Till
didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I put the kids on that. Yeah.
It's
Did
just,
ya?
it's scary figuring out how to balance
I
like her
know.
routine with being
Mhm.
somewhere, especially overseas.
Yeah, it's
like
a
I feel like,
10-hour flight.
yeah, we need like a sample trip around here first. And
Yeah.
then,
So
Oh yeah, do
Feel
little
it out.
staycations.
Yeah.
I do staycations.
So
Yeah.
we when we go to Orlando, we're thinking
went to
about
Orlando,
trying to hit up Tennessee. We've never been to Tennessee. We heard it's really nice.
Yep,
up there.
it's beautiful.
So that's a good short trip to bring Estelle.
I like that.
Yeah, get our
yeah.
Stella.
Get our
get
feet
our
wet.
feet wet with it,
Yeah.
figure it out, and then we'll start doing some.
But you
some
started
things.
traveling before you even got married, right?
Right.
Yeah, we've always traveled, taken a couple trips a year.
How do you
Yeah.
think that helped your relationship?
I think just
Open
getting
your eyes.
outside of like your normal routine and having new experiences with another person that you're sharing a life with. I think, you just learn from that
Yeah,
and can
I feel like-
share in experiences and
That's huge. I think
Yeah.
Chris and I feel like didn't take enough when we were dating because we were in Miami. So it's kind of like you're in your own different country because you
Right.
could just go to like little Havana. Or you
Yeah.
could go to like, well, it's just all different. Where I don't think we kind of like branched out enough. And I always tell him that. And I'm like, I can't imagine the kids are older because I don't want to bring them on all of them.
We do like everyone. Like our honeymoon was in Napa Valley, and we had a great experience there. And all of our trips seem to revolve around food and wine.
yeah.
That's wherever we go, we want to eat somewhere, and
That's not a bad thing.
Yeah,
That's
that's kind of like whenever we plan a trip, like, all right, where's the good
Where
restaurant?
can we eat?
Yeah. Well, that's smart. I feel like people don't do that enough. And that's another thing with Miami was I miss the different cultures and food and so many restaurants in a small area.
Right.
But that's probably why we didn't travel enough because we were getting a good food. That was it. I'm just going to do that. So I have for you, what was different about Matt in your relationships and all your other relationships, other than you fell in love and you loved him? But what was like that? I feel like girls have this like set standard when they're dating and they don't realize like sometimes it's usually out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say that his what drew me to him is out of my comfort zone, but I think like what made me bond to him so quickly was his honesty, like you were saying earlier, and his transparency.
Mhm.
Like I always know where we stand, how he feels about things, and he's one of those people too that is not afraid to tell me like, hey, I noticed this that you could probably work on
Love
and
that.
maybe improve. Yeah, and I had never had that before, someone that was just completely honest and
Teammate from the
Yeah.
beginning from dating.
from
Love
just
that.
from day one. Yeah, it's like, and I just know that I can trust him, and I don't think I don't know. I feel like that's really hard to find someone where you're like 100% whatever Matt says, I know it's the truth.
And you're not assuming what he's thinking because he's literally telling you.
Yes, exactly. I don't have to guess it. There's like no gameplay, and I had a lot of that, and it's exhausting, and like you don't realize how much energy you expend on that until you don't have to, and then it just makes things easy.
And you're free, and you're like, this is awesome. This guy over here, and I think we knew the same groups in high school. Because I feel like I knew some of your friends, whatever. But I feel like you were around a lot of where you could have not been that person that was very transparent or honest, and you kind of stuck out of that. What kind of mindset do you have for that? I feel like you're smart with decisions. Yeah, just communication, I think, as a man.
Yeah, I think Ashley nailed it. It's so much harder to try and cover things up or just be disingenuous or not be honest. It's just a game, and at that point it's so much more difficult. So if you can just be frank, open, honest, tell my wife, luckily if she's doing something to where I think maybe she can do it a little bit better, that's going to help everybody out. And luckily she's the type of person that can say, I don't agree with you, here's why, or awesome, thank you, I needed that, and
she's not like, fuck you, Matt.
And I think she trusts me that if I offer, and I'm not just going around criticizing, like I always, tell her what a great job she's doing professionally, and as a mother, she just does a phenomenal job. But anytime those things come up, I'm like, hey, maybe this might make things a little bit easier for you or a little bit better in general.
Yes.
She trusts me that I'm doing this out of a good place because I just want us to keep improving. So I think if you're not doing that, even if it's something you want to say something nice, I want to still be honest with her, even if it's not the best response, just to, make sure she's going out there just being the best version of herself, and to try to be dishonest and have her walk out the door if I notice something that she can be doing better.
Yeah.
And I'm not the best partner to her.
Yeah, of course.
So I think a lot of it is I can be honest with her because she's accepting of that, and she knows that I'm just absolutely have her best interests in mind all the time.
Love that.
With the whole the group that I used to hang out with, there was one time where I was that guy that wasn't completely honest and put on maybe a facade. And you just learn, I think, through growth and getting older that you're just trying to keep something up, and then it's just way more relaxing and comfortable to just kind of let your shoulders down and be who you are. And luckily I'm with a woman that can accept that, and like I said, accept those criticisms, accept that honesty, and at the same time, when I'm totally beefing her up, telling her how beautiful she is, what a great job she's doing, she still knows I'm being honest. It's just not
it's just and you're genuine.
If I'm telling her she's beautiful, she's beautiful. It's just I'm being honest about it, and so it works both ways. And I just think it's, as far as a relationship goes, it clears things up. It takes a lot of question marks out, and everyone just knows where they stand.
Yes, and that's another reason I love you both, to that the fact that you can improve daily with each other, and feedback. So Ashley taking the feedback, you're taking the feedback. It doesn't matter. It's not coming from not a genuine place. You're literally just like, hey, babe, we're growing together. I don't know if you say babe, but I say babe. Hey, we're growing together, and this is what can help us get to that next level. And I think you both are on your next level. I mean, professionally, family-wise, I think Estella's freaking personality is a perfect mold of you both. Like, just observant, like totally intrigued by things, like looking around. Gangster needs a nap because she's tired from being having a personality. But I think that's a great example just to show parents too, like your energy 100% feeds off your kids. Like your kids get all of that. When I have a short temper day, I can see Juliana is like quick at Jaden. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's me.
Right.
Like, oh, that's my energy. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Like, I'll like bring them in. I'll bring them in. I say, come on, bring it in. But you guys are a total example of that. And I know I'm blowing you both up right now, but I've always gotten that great vibe from you too. Like just being around you guys in groups of people at the gym. And that's another thing, like people don't realize you both, even when Ashley was pregnant, Matt would take his time to go work out. Even if it wasn't a class, you were taking your time for yourself because you both knew how important that was.
So important. Yeah.
And you have to support each other. So if Ashley was getting mad at you for working out, it's like, but this is my my stress relief, or if Ashley needed to go work out, like, or now when you have the baby, like if you're bringing her, like you guys just learn to balance that. And if it came from being friends first or not, it just, you respect each other enough. And I think people are losing that in this generation, of the same respect level. Just like you put like a meme of you in the window as the husband and your wife is doing an interview, and you're like, that's
rooting her on. Yeah, she's doing really amazing things for her community, and I'm just like rooting it on, and it's awesome to see. But I think you're right with us being friends first, and I would absolutely say that's we've worked on our relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I would say it took us a good
decade. It's not easy. Yeah.
No, we had growing, and starting out as young as we were, we kind of grew up together in a lot of ways, and you hit growing pains, and it's not always easy, but I feel like we did the right things that we had to keep each other and our relationship in check to get to the point we're at now where we're comfortable.
Do you laugh at some things that you guys went through early on, like little things?
Yeah, for sure.
You're like, wow, young were we?
Yeah, just silly things. And sometimes not so silly things. Like it's been, like I said, I think it's probably 10 years before we could look at each other and be honest, like, wow, this is really awesome. But through those 10 years, we worked really hard. And that's what makes it feel so good now to be able to, again, honestly say it's, things are really great. And we're still working. We're always going to work. That's the nature of two different people. You always work and keep things progressing, and you'll never find perfection, but we're going to keep working and see how close we can get to the best versions of ourselves, and that'll probably never stop. But so far it's been great for us, but definitely not all unicorns are
That's why I like to show people like it's real. Like it took you a while to get to where you are, and you're still growing. I mean, you got to figure out the vacation thing with Estella. It's very important. But you're just
that's
still
our biggest problem. We're doing all right. Yeah.
But with Ashley, I want to give a shout out to her team at Homeless Empowerment Program, CEO and president. But you guys do great things. I grew up in Pinellas County, so watching that community grow, you guys partnering with the schools. I love everything about that. And you get to go home satisfied knowing you're not only doing well for your family, but you're doing well for others. And I think that's other things people forget. Like, you do want to chase the money. I get people do that, and that's sometimes their motivation, but you went for changing people's lives, and it's just a domino effect of the people around you. And I think it's definitely inspiring. Matt's in the corner screaming, woo!
He is too. He's like the biggest champion. Yeah. I love it though. It's great work. And I think I told Matt when I first started working there, I took a pay cut going from like I used to work for a marketing firm, and we did branding for nonprofits and stuff like that. And then I ended up working in marketing at HEP. And I remember telling him, like, it's even on my worst day of work, like my most stressful day, I'm going home and I still feel good about the fact that the work I'm doing is helping other people. So it's, I just feel so fortunate to be there. And it gives you perspective too, because you're seeing people that have major life issues. So like if I'm upset because traffic sucked on the way in, I'm thinking, well, I've got a car and I have a job to go to, and I just left my house. Car. Yeah, exactly. So it's just really good perspective to see, what a situation can really be like, and kind of puts you in check a little bit. Yeah, it's definitely good. And for the whole family too. Imagine you sitting down with Matt and him not supporting your move to that, Right, so it's like you guys have supported each other during really big decisions as a 2-income household. I understand that. Like, you have to support each other, and you kind of have to like make that decision, not on finances, but where that person belongs. So it's like Matt had to make a decision being like, oh, what's the pay cut? Okay. Right.
All right, I'll work a little harder this round. That's fine. So it's nice to have that balance. And it's hard. People don't realize like that is definitely a joint decision with you. Even if you want to just like jump to it, you still have a partner. So I think you guys are kind of nailing it. And yes, you've been through rough patches, but I love to just show. It's funny when you I said slide into your DMs, but you guys did AOL. But like the generation, sometimes it just makes me sad because I feel like connection's lost because of so much like social media and things. It's good to run into couples that just give you that feeling of like, yeah, people work hard. They get to where they want. And you guys are super fit, and I hate you. But that's another thing. Like, people probably walk up to you like, how do you balance everything? And you're like, this isn't easy all the time.
Yeah, I think you pick and choose your battles. Like some days I'm not going to make it to the gym because Estella needs me at home. And, some days we're not going to get to cook dinner together because, schedules are different. And so I think you pick and choose your battles, and it really is about partnership and balance, especially after you have a kid. And
how's that change? So you're just like living the married life, the couple life. What is the biggest change?
For me, it's making sure that we have time for each other, and we're not like when Estella's in bed, we're not just talking about Estella after she goes to bed. Like we're actually checking in with each other and talking about other things. And
that's hard though.
Yeah. Well, and it's easy to get really consumed with your kid, especially I think as a mother, maybe even more so. Like it's really easy to get consumed with your child. So I think checking in and making sure you're making time for him too is so important.
Well, they're like, her and Estella are like best friends. So,
it's like the wolf pack, but there's only two. They haven't brought you in yet. And you're like, what the hell, guys?
So yeah, I had to, a couple nights ago, we had a conversation. I was like, listen, we got to make sure our relationship is still based upon us. And we can't have our relationship revolve around Estella. And the reason why I said that is because I want Estella to see her mom and dad, who are best friends, who are in love.
Right.
So that when she grows up, she gets that genuine experience and that genuine love and
that's what she's looking for then.
Yes.
And I think if our Ash and I's relationship was focused around Estella, we'd lose that dynamic, and Estella wouldn't have that
vision and observe.
Our standard too, because I want whatever Ashley and I do, whether that's with our relationship or professionally, or even our hobbies like CrossFit, I just want Estella to do more. I want her to see what we're doing. I want us to set the standard high and then watch her just, exceed that standard. So, but that's a big challenge is kind of making sure that we're still focusing on each other. And that's hard to do. I mean, and then, you've got the time component as well as,
not enough hours in the day.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
But I get from a mom perspective, and it's kind of good to have that person who is your husband pulling you aside, like, okay, now you're not getting too involved. But for me, I get that. Some of my days were just work, pick up the kid, didn't even say hi to Chris when he walked in. Like you just wait, oh, that's kind of rude.
Yeah. You're just
so I get that. And it's good to get somebody just to get you back in perspective, because you see this human and you're like, I have to be here 100. Oh my gosh, if I'm in front of her, I have to do this. But that's good you saw that. And it wasn't like a nasty feedback. You're just like, hey, hun. Yeah. Like, hey girls, I'm over here.
I had to do the same thing when she was decorating for Estella's first birthday party.
Oh, I went nuts, yeah.
It was crazy. I was like, hey, we gotta dial this down.
Yeah.
Hey.
It's getting wild.
Hey girl.
But that's why I said, like, her and Estella are best friends. She absolutely adores Estella. It's awesome to see her just fall into motherhood so well, and she's full swing into it. So the house is going to look like 20 mermaids decorated.
Yeah.
Glitter
everywhere. I walked into Publix that day as we were decorating, and the cashier at Publix was like, "You have glitter all over your back." And I'm like,
"Stop it!" Right?
I just put my hand up in the air. And
she thought she was probably like looking out for you, like you just left a strip club. She's like, "Listen, I don't know who your partner is, but that's not going to look." Home. You're like, "It's a first birthday. You have glitter all over your back."
And I'm just like, first birthday.
Mermaid.
Thank you for the groceries. I have to leave now.
Yeah.
But yeah, not enough hours in the day. I think that's the only difference. But we find, we have a loose schedule. It's definitely nothing that we commit to. Each day is kind of different. But we've kind of just fallen into this flow to where, like, when we get home, Ashley starts dinner, and then she might, put Estelle in the bathtub, and I'll finish dinner. Or we just find a way to make it work, and we're making sure that we're trying to kind of. I've been reading a lot of meditation books lately, so stay present. Because I think if you get lost in all of that shuffle, then that's when the anxiety comes out. That's where you might throw some frustration, someone else's way.
Been there.
I think if you just kind of remain cool, know what you're doing, know where you're at, and like I said, we're good partners, we're best friends, so we're able to kind of make sure that we're doing things to help each other out because we care about each other, and we don't want to see each other stressed out or
go from a genuine place.
Yeah, just looking out for each other. But we find a way to make it work. We're just kind of flowing through it and making it go, and it's been it's been awesome. It's been a really...
So you're not pouring glitter off the roof, just like all
Not
over the
yet.
house.
Not yet.
Estella wanted this.
Yeah.
How dare you?
We still got some time.
Okay, so what's the greatest lesson you've learned through your 15 years together?
Oh,
Each of you have to
gosh.
answer, not just one.
For me,
I love that you guys look at each other like, you gonna go? Or am I gonna go? Are you gonna go?
for me, it's just like we've continuously worked. I know we touched on that before, but we continuously worked, and for 10 years we worked and worked and worked and worked, and then 10 years later, when you kind of think, man, it's been a really long time, and then it clicks, you know, and then we're just firing all cylinders. And so I think just like continuously striving for the life that you know you can achieve, and kind of the relationship that you know is possible. And I think that, you know, I had an idea of what, you know, Ashley's a great person, very loving, very affectionate, very happy, positive. And so I knew like we just had the potential to have this awesome relationship, but like I said, we're two different people. We have to work and find that balance and a little give and take and changing certain things about ourselves. And I think the persistence of just knowing what's available to us and what we can kind of achieve together and reach to, even after 10 years, to just not stop, keep going, keep working. And then I think what's exciting for me is that's proven to us that we can do it. And so we still have 40, 50 more years together on this earth. So we've got a lot of growing to do still. And so that's exciting too, is being proven that if you keep working, even if it takes 10 years, you still have 50 more years and things are good now. So now we can just kind of coast on this niche that we've hit, and that's
rocking
exciting.
chairs, gangster, rocking chairs, just
so
living your
I
life.
think just that persistence, and if there's an issue, just keep working,
Yep.
figure it out, and get the achieve that ideal that you're going for, that is possible. And we've hit that, and like I said, there's still room to grow, but so far that's the biggest lesson learned for me.
We're going back to your lesson, but when did you guys first say I love you?
I said it first.
Heck yeah.
Nailed it. Yeah.
Probably just after what, like maybe.
The only reason I didn't say it first, I was bitter because she wouldn't date me in high school. No,
I'm not saying it first. I swear I'm not saying it first.
Yeah,
that was
probably,
a big win for me.
Yeah, probably maybe, I don't know, a few months in, 6 months in, something like that.
I remember when
because you loved each other. You've been friends for so long.
Yeah.
It was a couple months in. I know we were what's the word? We committed to each other. We were BFGF.
Yeah.
We didn't really have acronyms then.
Exclusive.
Well,
Yeah.
we're exclusive.
Okay, very good. Good word. I was like, what? We didn't have acronyms then.
Yeah.
What was the word?
We were exclusive. That was January 3rd. I don't know what year though.
Yeah.
But I remember it was
I don't know the
it was
year
at like
either.
15
11 or
years.
7.
Yeah.
11 or 7
You're
p.m.
sweet.
And
Stop.
I know.
Yeah.
Did you just say the time?
that was it.
Because you're like, you wrote it down. You're like, this motherfucker. 1107. You got her.
That was it. That was
Oh, I love
that was
that.
when we were exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the first I love you was
Probably a few months in. Yeah.
I knew it'd be a good one. I knew it'd be a
Yeah.
good. I started to interrupt. Now Ashley's lesson. I'm sorry to. I knew it'd be a good story.
I think to kind of piggyback a little bit off of what Matt said, I think just like realizing that you don't have to accept your circumstances as they are.
Mhm.
Like you can grow beyond that and invest in yourself and your relationship and change your path. And of course, that takes a lot of hard work to accomplish. But I just think knowing, like, just because you were put into this situation or born into this area or whatever, it doesn't mean that that's where you're at. You can go beyond that. And I think Matt really helped me to see that. And then I also think another important lesson that I've learned through our relationship is just maintaining a sense of humor throughout it all. And having like, you can grind and still be happy and have fun and have a sense of humor and make each other laugh and take those trips. So, it doesn't have to be all work and no play. You can figure out that balance. And I think that we've done that. We work hard, but we also know how to play hard too. And I think that's so important.
That is important.
I think that's the foundation of our relationship.
Yeah.
Is definitely that we're best best friends, like legitimate, like middle school, stay up late giggling over.
We still do that, yeah.
Every once in a while, like, could you imagine if somebody listened to what we were saying? They think that we were ridiculous. But it's that kind of friendship.
Is that just our conversation? That's important.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Laughter is my favorite medicine. Okay, so I know people are probably like, is this girl married who's hosting? She sounds ridiculous. Love you, Chris. Sorry, shout out to Steve Ray. We got laughter. But I do understand a lot for especially new parents. Like I got stuck into that, like making sure that you're still the center, because it is a huge example for your kids. And I told my husband one time, I was like, you have a tool, like you're going to teach Juliana how she should be valued. And you're going to teach Jaden how he should respect others. I have a tool too, like don't be an asshole. But I just like it is. It's like you have it as a male figure in anybody's life. I know my dad just being the kind person that he was, but like it's like a huge responsibility because these little humans. But it shows so much in just any action. So the fact that you put Ashley as priority is going to just show Estella like, yeah, my whoever is going to treat me exactly like that. And it's so important. You just have a huge responsibility and you've taken it full on for the best friends, Ashley and Estella. I think that's important. But I love that you're my first couples on the show, but I want people to like remember, like, what's the one thing you want people to really remember? Not about you two, or maybe just relationships or being a first time parent or marriage. Like, what's the one thing you want them to remember from this show? On the spot.
That is on the spot. That's a good one.
Pressure. From you two. Yeah.
I mean, I think the best thing you can do is try to just, maybe help others. And so like, we're definitely not in a position where I would say we can help other people, but we do have some minor successes in our relationship. Tools for us and things that have worked. And I think, as I touched on before, the takeaway before was, I think I actually put it very well. If you don't, just because your situation is what it is at the moment doesn't mean that that's what it'll always be. And don't accept that, kind of accept what you want.
And you know your worth. So it's like you guys didn't accept mediocre for a relationship. You kept growing it.
Right.
Like you kept making sure like, yeah, we're a perfect match, but like this takes work, and we need to keep growing together and we need to.
Yeah.
And you guys did. Like, it wasn't like the love at first sight because you guys were friends, but you knew you loved each other, but you weren't sure what kind of love. She said, I love you first. We gotta make sure everybody knows.
Thank you.
11:07. But it's like, you just show, you're a good example of this isn't easy.
Right.
Like this took us work.
But that's very true. I think that's what makes it so me and Ashley hit this stride, and that's what makes it sweet now, is because we know we worked for it. And I don't think either of us are the type of person to, when things like when something's difficult for me, I'm like, all right, cool, let's find a way to get better from this. Let's get productive out of this. Let's learn a lesson from this, whatever challenge may come. And I think I've developed that mentality just because my experiences have shown me, like, no matter what her and I have been through, I've been through personally, we're here today. We're still laughing. So whatever seemed like the big deal at that time wasn't ever really a big deal. And just we kept moving forward, kept pushing forward, and
keeps you grateful too.
Absolutely.
Having the hardships.
Those tough times keep it make the sweet times sweeter. So that's we don't ever hang our hat on whenever it gets rough.
Yeah, I think mentality, like, just not, like, we make it a point to never have like a pity party, really. Like, if something bad happens, we don't wallow in that. Like Matt said, we're always looking for the other side of it. How can we learn and grow from it, and what's next?
And you guys are so different, but you're so much alike with attitude, and that, I think, sky's the limit.
Yeah.
Can't wait to, when you guys are just changing the world, which you are already. All right. So let's go over your handles. If you want to give a shout out to Homeless Empowerment Program for volunteers or anything.
Yeah. So we have an 8-acre campus. So there's a ton of volunteer opportunities. We use about 2,000 volunteers throughout the course of the year. So if anyone's interested in learning more, the website is hepempowers.org.
Okay. Awesome.
And it's empowers with an S.
Okay, and then Facebook Homeless Empowerment Program. And then
yeah, it is.
It's people helping people on Instagram.
Helping people help themselves.
Okay, sorry.
Yep, that's okay.
But it's also
tricky.
people
That's
helping
our tag.
people.
Yeah.
Everybody's just helping themselves and helping people.
Yeah.
And then we have, don't forget Matt's name is M-A-T. Don't put 2 T's in there. He'll get seriously upset. It's just like a huge dramatic thing
the one
for
thing
him.
he gets mad about.
They're on Instagram. You'll see them on Not a Great Whisperer page. We're at BKN Creative Studios. Any last words, you two? Thank you for being my first couple. I'm so grateful for this opportunity.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
it's such an honor that you think of us.
Oh, yes, I do.
Yeah,
you give the vibe off, guys. It's
again,
important.
Thank you for calling us gangster.
Gangsters.
Really
that's the part that's going to stick with me.
It gets-
My takeaway from the day.
My favorite part.
Yeah.
You are a gangster. You still got to have that vibe. I get it. I like to have a little bit. Like, my kids aren't going to get away with anything. Because I have a little bit of gangster love. Like, I have a little bit.
You gotta hang on to that.
Thanks
Just that
for
piece.
you. Like,
Yeah.
thank you. But I loved having you. I want you to know that your energy and your vibe is working, whatever you're working on. You do portray that. And I hope you help more couples, people, anybody, just understand that it takes work to get where you are. It's not just all fun and games. Like, you got to work hard. But it's beautiful when it happens, right?
Absolutely.
Especially when she says, I love you first and calls you to sing Santa Monica Boulevard.
The cherry on top, yeah.
All right, we had Matt and Ashley Lowry on the show, and Not a Great Whisperer at The Real Cray, Krey. And we're at BKN Creative Studios, and we are out with Morty's Music Beats. Thank you.